My friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the Irons United channel, and it's time for another opposition report. The Premier League finally returns after what was a bit of a snooze fest of an international break, as West Ham travel to Goodison Park and face off against Everton this Sunday. My friends, if you haven't yet seen the preview of this weekend's game, we did invite Falcon Blues TV onto the channel. Paul kindly come on. He seemed like a really nice chap. Above, my friends, is the link to that preview. Well worth a watch. The guy knew his stuff, and our lads definitely put him through his paces. It's a really good watch, and I really suggest that you do that. But thank you, Paul and Falcons Blue TV, for coming on the channel. My friends, we are now going to talk opposition. Everton, they've got some problems, but their problems are not as big as West Ham's at the moment. Now, if we're going to look at the stats and the history of the two teams in the Premier League, the last 5 games between the two clubs, a couple of wins for Everton, a couple of wins for West Ham. There's a draw thrown in there for good measure as well. Obviously, the last time we met was last game of the season last year, a 3-1 victory for West Ham. We were really good on the day, but it was a bit of a nothing game, it has to be said. Lives fondly in the memory of us lads at Irons United. We all had a bit of a meet up that day and got a little worse for wear. Far too many Jaeger bombs and beer consumed, but you know, that's what football's all about at the end of the day. Premier League history between the two teams as well, as far as wins are concerned. Everton by far the better team in this fixture. They just seem to love playing West Ham. 24 wins to West Ham's 8, so that's not very good at all. And West Ham, it has to be said, are notoriously poor at Goodison Park. Last time we won there was a 3-2 victory back in 2016. I believe we come back from 2-0 down in that game. There was a sending off for Morales. Inspired comeback by Payet and the boys. That was last season at the Boleyn. So, yeah, I hate mentioning Payet because snake. But anyway, my friends. So, yeah, there's history here between the two teams. Everton, like I say, seem to love to play West Ham. Now, if we're actually going to look at the opposition, Everton are going to be without up to 12 first-team players this weekend. They've got a real massive injury crisis there, and I didn't realise it was as bad as it actually is. They're missing some really key players as well. They're going to be without the likes of Yerry Mina, who's yet to make his debut for the club since joining from Barcelona. Coleman's out, injured. Obviously, Keane's out with that fractured skull. They're going to be without their new talisman in Richarlison as well. He's serving either the second or third part of his 3-match ban for he's sending off a number of weeks ago. So it's all a bit dodgy there as far as the team's concerned, and it's amazing really when you put it into context that Everton are still undefeated this season, even though they're playing with those problems. Obviously a win and 3 draws. Paul, who came on the preview show, did actually say that even though it's a win and 3 draws are undefeated, he's still pretty happy because they're finally playing some more attacking football. But the biggest problem that Everton have got at the moment is their defence, and I think that's a key area that West Ham can try and utilise and take advantage of, especially set pieces. They seem to be really poor. It's weird for me to say this because I'm not Carroll's biggest fan, but this is the sort of game that really would be screaming out for the big man. Obviously Everton zonal marking, it just doesn't work for them. It isn't working, and they're conceding a lot of goals from set pieces. It's the sort of game that Andy Carroll would have been licking his chops at, but sadly not going to be in the team because he's injured once again for the club. I'm impressed though with what Marco Silva's managed to do at Everton in the short time that he's been there. The philosophy seems to be hold on to the ball, pass on the back, only float the balls over the top, down the lines as and when you need to, make the most of the pace, make the most of the ability that the players have got there. A lot of the Everton fans have been saying that Gylfi hasn't really got going this season, but I think he's been one of their better players. I think that should Walcott be past fit, that's going to be a big threat because he's actually started the season very, very well for Everton. I think one of the big men to look for, the key men to look out for as well is Tosan. He might not score every week, but he works his socks off for the football club, gets himself in the right positions. This could be the sort of game, though, where he goes and grabs himself a goal or two against West Ham's very weak defence. Obviously, West Ham have had this time off in the international break to try and rectify that, but we are going to see at the weekend if it happens. Big problem for West Ham as well going into this one is that no manager has started with 5 losses, and it would be horrible for that to happen, but Everton have the players and they have the ability to go and do that. I've been impressed with them so far, Everton. And I think if we're looking at the stats, we're looking at recent history, we're looking at the way the two teams have started the season, I'm finding it hard to look past Everton as far as the game is concerned. I really feel like they're probably going to take something off of us in this one. But where do West Ham hurt them? Obviously, the injury crisis is a big one. I think we have to make the most of that. They're missing some real key players, especially in defence. I think Coleman and Keane are nailed on starters for that football club if they're fit. Baines has been a little up and down this season, and like I say, they are, they seem to worry when the set pieces come their way. So West Ham have to make the most of any free kicks or corners that come their way. I really feel like that's the way that we beat this football club. We're going to have to go for it. It's a poor record that we've got at Goodison Park, but this is the sort of game we need to turn it on and we need to turn it around, because if we come out of this with nothing, it's going to be really, really bad. Now, as far as my prediction is concerned for the game, my friends, I'm going to go with an Everton 2-1 win, just because I went with that on my prediction show over on my channel. You'll see the link above to my channel should you want to go and check that out, my friends. Mine is just a general football-based channel. I do a Premier League show. And I went with a 2-1 to Everton. Even with the injuries, a lot like Luke said on the preview show, I still feel like Everton have got enough about them to go and beat us, and especially with the way that West Ham are playing. We're going to be missing a few players. Wilshire's picked up an injury by the looks of things. We've got some long-term absentees in Carroll and Reed and co. So yeah, we're just as much trouble. Obviously, I feel like there's a few players that need to come into the team, but what the manager does, we will never know. So how do you see it going, my friends? In the comment section below, let me know your score predictions for the game, and you'll also see the poll above. Feel free to vote on that. Really is appreciated by me and all the boys here at Irons United. My friends, that is it for the opposition report. Just a quick one today. Do remember to go and check out all the other content on the channel. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. But until next time, I've been Dan. This has been the Opposition Report. Have a good one, my friends, and pray for a win. Come on, you Irons.